potential is an entrepreneurial mindset. I like to say it's mission granted. No one is successful overnight.
Keep on keeping on.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to day 10 of 31 days to PADITU with me, Sean Griffin. Thank you for being here today, and for any other days you've been participating and learning from our show. Today is a special day, and so I want to wish all the mothers out there a happy Mother's Day who are celebrating. I know that people celebrate Mother's Day at different times around the world. In the U.S., we're celebrating Mother's Day. And I'm feeling a little reflective this morning and want to just think about this for a second. With COVID-19, it's slowed us down, right? And that's a gift. I think we've been running around pursuing our own endeavors, our own activities, and many times we don't take a step back to reflect and be grateful and thankful for those people that are in our lives. And I know this because my mother, who was not feeling well and was in the hospital for 3 months in quarantine, she'll be on today's show, really changed my perspective and in terms of being grateful and for the people in my life and pay attention. I literally was working. I was one of those guys who was working 100 plus hours a week, year after year. When I finally was able to slow down enough, Seema, my wife, slowed me down. We went to my parents' house for the holidays, and my mother reminded me that it had been somewhere around 17 years since I'd slowed down enough to go visit them. Wasn't intentional. I was pursuing my dreams. I was putting a dent in the universe, doing all kinds of activities that I thought were important. But the reality is that we have a chance now. And if you have not said your love, given your love, shared your gratefulness for somebody in your life that comes to mind as I'm talking, I want to encourage you to call them up and thank them for being in your life. This could be a friend, this could be a mother, this could be a father, this could be an uncle or a family member. But taking time and being grateful, particularly as I'm noticing online that there's more and more people who are passing away, who are dying, and unexpectedly in a lot of these posts, and I can feel that sadness, and you don't want to go before you have a chance to say, I love you, thank you for being in my life, and they're gone, so you won't be able to say that. So now is a really important time to take a step back while we're slower, and then I propose you plan a way to balance your life going forward so that the slowness becomes part of the new you post COVID-19. In the end, one of the most common regrets that people have while they're lying there on their deathbeds is that it's not that they didn't accomplish something, that they didn't buy something, that they didn't do something. It's that they didn't spend enough time with their family or their loved ones. And it's taken me 53 years. I'm a thick-skulled soul. It takes me a while. But thankfully, I've woken up to this in large part due to my wife, Seema, and her commitment to her family and their family's commitment to their family, which is something that I wasn't in tune to. And so that's my exercise for today is think about all those people you love and are grateful for. Reach out to them. Tell them you love them. Tell them how grateful you are and how much you appreciate them being in your lives. You never know when the last day or an opportunity to say goodbye to them will pass. All right. Or how much you love them, I should say. All right. Amy, that's my heavy duty intro today. Who's our first guest?
Hello, Sean. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Where are you calling from?
I'm from Vietnam.
Fantastic.
So my
Are
name
you a
is
mother? Happy Mother's Day.
yes. No, not quite, but yes, my kids have a habit
Okay.
to celebrate Mother's Day. I think it's important too.
Yeah, absolutely. What's going on? You got a question for me?
Just a short introduction. Firstly,
Sure.
thanks to We Create and Miss Hoài from We Create that I've known you and I've heard a lot about you before I came here. So yes, I'm excited to know about you. So yeah, we will enter the part of question and answer directly now.
Yeah, just here. How about if you do this for me? Tell me what your product and service is. Who's your customer? How do you make money? 30 seconds. Go.
Okay, so my product is the kit for rapid detections of all disease. So our newest product is the test kit for the COVID-19, which based on a new technology, which name is LAMP. So it's between the PCR and so it's as accurate as the PCR, but the equipment for that is much simpler. So as far as we know, there are very few groups in the world who can master this technique. But our group will find a secret for this. So yeah, I'm excited with our new product, and we would like to enter the US market and also the EU market at the moment, because I know that there are huge demand now in the world.
So you've got kits. Let me clarify. You've got kits you've developed with a special secret recipe of yours that identifies COVID.
Yes, and it's simpler.
And other diseases.
That's true.
Does it identify?
And another disease.
Does it identify other diseases?
Yes.
Corona strain. There's a lot of coronaviruses, not just the one we're dealing with right now.
It could be. So as far it's like the PCR. So we just need to develop, the small pieces to the primer for this. It's just like the PCR, but just is the equipment is much simpler. So basic. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Were you developing this before COVID-19 came out?
Yes, we have developed for at least and commercialized successfully for at least 16 kind of virus and also bacteria. For example, the virus for flu, the flu virus can H5N1, H1N1, and the other is for the swine, African swine virus. We also developed it's based on the same background technology.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we already validated our kit in Vietnam, and we already get the permission in Vietnam for the kits. So with the accuracy and the efficiency is 100%. So yeah, it's as accurate as the kit from BioLine from England.
What's your capacity for manufacturing? I know manufacturing is significant there in Vietnam. What's your capacity to ramp up? I just want to gain a little bit of understanding. Like if you have 10,000, can you a day, 100,000? How many kits can you manufacture a day with your manufacturing?
We develop. We're manufacturing 15,000 kits at the moment, because based on the material that we have to collect from other countries. That's the only problem. But for the manufacturer, we can reach until 1 million tests per day.
You can grow up to 1 million per day.
Yes, for tests per day.
Okay, let me ask you some more questions. First of all, congratulations being your timing.
Yes.
You're saying that the Vietnamese government is now using your kits for testing in Vietnam. Is that correct?
Yes, no, they're not using yet, but we get the permissions that it could be used.
Your permission.
Yes.
Have you been in talks with any other organizations like WHO, World Health Organization, or any other global body who would be also a purchaser?
Yes, we're submitting the profiles for EU for the EU marking and the FDA and the WHO at the same time. So the EU, the CIVD marking, we are waiting for them now. and it could be quite early in 1 or 2 weeks. I think so. The FDA, we are submitting the files for them.
You're doing it right now. You've submitted to the FDA in the U.S.
No, we are preparing. But it's the same principle as the EU, and we are submitted for the EU already, and waiting for the result.
You know, my first thought goes to how do you accelerate this, right? How do you jump over? Because right now there's an opportunity to leapfrog over the traditional slower step-by-step processes that have been in place to approve these type of tests, particularly in medical. I'm wondering, through Hoy and the connections she has with the U.S. Embassy, if they would be there in Hanoi, if they would be a good resource to help facilitate, help socialize that you've got a strong testing product and it's something worthwhile, and would be able to make an introduction to somebody within the FDA that would help move it faster or rise it up to the top in terms of their ability to integrate it and start making purchase orders for the product, your test kits. Have you talked to?
Yes, that would be. We already reached out for some embassy, and also the other through the Find webpage, etc. So we use different resources to reach out, and if through Miss Hoai, we can get another top level, it could be even better. But well, I think the main issue here is the the provider of the base materials, because everyone is chasing them now. So we have some secret that is not used a lot by another test developer like in the pizza, but the other we share with them. So it's still in shortage now everywhere in the world. So that's the only problem. So because the high demand, so we have some order already, but well, it's really the logistic part and the other part. And so the producer. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So
the producer for us is like, yeah.
The material, the key material, which is like some rare earth material or some material that allows for this test to take place, you're saying is in high demand, is limited access.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
How are you communicating with that supplier to lock down your portion and some guaranteed amount of this material so you don't run out?
So the producer first, they have cash, so they have financial strength, so they can order in advance. But still, it's still slow, and we don't know for sure in the future how it's going. But we have very high demand, or the order for about 100,000 more tests per day. So I think it's and the logistic is so slow as well. So we try the best from our capacity.
And this is a big issue I see in a lot of different not kits, but specialty products that require a certain particular ingredient that's hard to find, or it becomes high in demand, and then the price goes up, and then it becomes more difficult to negotiate, right? Which is happening now, right?
That's true.
And so now it's harder to lock in your agreement with them, with whoever that supplier is. But what I would be trying to do, is locking into agreements with them, or negotiating with those suppliers of that particular, whatever it is, that your secret ingredient, and make sure that you're collecting and buying with your money, because that's a competitive advantage you have if you have that material and other people don't, right? If other people get that material, Amy, I wasn't drawing on the wall right now. I'm just thinking out loud here. Thank you. I'm trying to figure out with you right now what you could do to incentivize that person is providing that particular item to lock it down, so that you're at least covered in terms of any orders you have, because the sky's the limit here. More testing is going to take place. You really are in a really great position based upon being able to secure that particular secret ingredient, right? And so I would be putting your energy into that ingredient and securing that ingredient as much as you possibly can while you're still trying to get FDA approval, while you're still trying to get EU approval and all the different kinds of approvals, because they're going to be buying from multiple sources, these countries, right? And there's unfortunately not a united, it doesn't appear to be, you know, a global response that's coordinated. So each country is kind of fighting for each other. Gives you an upper hand. And it gives you an upper hand, and not to gouge or you know, do nefarious things, but you could charge a little more that could make up for and secure. Like you could charge a little premium, and that premium would go to make sure that you're getting that supply. So every time you get an order for 100,000, you know you've charged an extra 10, 15, 20%, and that money is specifically earmarked for going to that supplier. And that supplier has then a greater loyalty to you because they know they're getting, you know, their cut, if you will, of your kits.
I see.
So that's kind of my mindset right here. And I know this is not going to be easy, but I would work all your relationships you have, and anybody who can help influence those people who are those providers within your contact, your Vietnamese context, which I know can be challenging sometimes because of the shrewdness of business that can take place there.
I see.
You know, right? And so, more than I do.
Yeah, I understand that.
But that's okay. I'll pause. What are your thoughts? Tell me what you're thinking now, because that's.
Okay, I have a short. Yeah, I know we have been short of time here. I have an issue. If we buy, indeed, the ingredient we must buy from USA. We import it from USA to Vietnam, and then we re-export it to USA. So it doesn't make lots of sense. Can we product just the rice there?
Okay, we didn't realize that piece. So, who can you partner with in the U.S. right now? Of course, it's big. You manufacture in the U.S. You have a great advantage. You can find a partner. So you're looking for someone to partner and manufacture the kits in the U.S.?
Yes, I would like to, and also protect our secret, because a few groups in the world have the secret. So I think of that, but I don't know. I'm hesitant between. There are another partner who proposed to us to open a company, but just for for distribution, not for manufacturer. So I'm just thinking.
I mean, so yeah,
maybe it takes more time to set up a manufacturer.
I think so. I think
in USA.
What I would try to do, is I would try to find a medical manufacturing partner. This is what I would look for. I'd look for an up-and-coming business, one that wants to compete with the bigger players in the U.S.
Yes.
Do a little research. I don't know who that is right now, but somebody who's hungry, who's in manufacturing test kits of all kinds, and has facilities to retool to start manufacturing your kit. They would be hungrier.
Okay.
They would be more likely to be aggressive because they're trying to grow and they're trying to take on some of the bigger players versus partnering with a bigger player. And I like to call them Darth Vader. You know, it can be like Darth Vader, the bigger players. And so you'd have a more loyal partner, right? By going with someone smaller. And you may be able to find somebody from your networks who's Vietnamese in the U.S. Look in San Jose, California, right? Large population. My guess is somebody in there is connected and you all of a sudden are playing within your own cultural context and can create a new relationship. And again, everything's about accelerating and expediting. Once the money starts flowing, you can set up your own company in the U.S. and go through that process and reevaluate how you want to go forward. But right now, to be able to take full advantage of the current situation and support those people who are in need of tests, because tests are still hard to come by, then you're providing a solution that people are going to want to be part of.
Yes. I see. Yeah, great advice. Great advice. A company partner right now, not too big, not too small, right?
That's right.
And they
ones that are hungry. So what I'm asking you to look for is find a hungry through your research, an up and coming newer business or one that's become aggressive, has a new CEO, it's been latent small business, but is hungry to see it grow, they're going to be in the same general mindset you're in, where a large corporation will be trying to figure out how to take advantage of you.
I see.
Not all
Yeah.
large corporations, but,
I see.
but generally speaking, I would think that's accurate. So
yeah, thank you. Great advice.
I think what I want to do is make sure we follow up. Let's follow up at some point. Amy will be in touch, and let's see what your progress is. If we can think of anybody on our end to help support, make an introduction to help facilitate and reduce the friction to get this testing kit forward, then I have another question now. Where is the special material manufactured in the United States? That you buy? You buy a material from the U.S., you import it back to Vietnam to make it. Where is that manufactured in the U.S.? What city, town, state? Do you know?
I have to check. It's a big, a global company, so I have to check again the ingredient where we get from.
You find out where it's coming from in the U.S., and then I would try to get as close to that material as possible to make it easier. So you're actually there. You can go drive over there and get it. You know what I mean? You're from your partner versus having to have it shipped. So you're trying to, again, think about how to reduce friction to get going and move faster, because you're in a prime position right now and you really need to be running. It just is the reality. You need to be running, get as fast and as much done as you can in as quick a period of time. I have a really wild idea. I don't know if you're watching out there, Shawnee, but you know, in the U.S., and you know, Purell became very popular as a sanitizer, privately owned company, right? It's a hand sanitizer.
Yes.
How they did that? One of the ways they did that was they put a Purell dispenser at the front of every elevator in the world, pretty much. Like everywhere you go, you know, there's a little Purell hand sanitizer you can get cleaned, right? Here's a wild idea, every gas station right now is struggling. People aren't buying gas. They could become a distributor and a place for people to drive up and get a test. So what's an existing physical asset that is in a really good location? I'm talking about the U.S. particularly here. And how you set it up and how you partner with gas station owners. And then they're providing these tests. And it's a drive up, they buy it, the people drive off. And all of a sudden, those locations become these kind of drive-through test, and gas station owners become COVID-19 test locations, and also selling masks and whatever, as sanitizers and other things. But all of a sudden, in my mind, I saw a Purell play with these tests where it becomes whatever your name is for your test becomes like a brand, and that's the brand test I want. And I can go get that by driving up to a gas station and getting my test. Wild idea, but interesting.
Interesting. Yes.
There's something to that.
Yes, very ambitious, but well, everything can happen at this moment. So
that's right. Yeah. So think big. Think about how you change it up, and it's not just the secret sauce. It's a brand. The kit's a brand. People want that particular brand of test kit.
Yes.
You know, I'm sure somebody's going to do it. Somebody's going to have a special brand of test kit that the people are going to want, and it's just wow, what an interesting world we live in, eh?
Yes. Oh, I'm excited with your new ideas, and your wide idea is so bold, and I love that. And we want to do something with that right now. So, so thanks a lot, for the suggestion.
Great to see you. We're going to follow up. I want to see what's happening and how
sure.
into the U.S. This is exciting. Congratulations. Thanks for making the world a better place.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot for today.
Thank you. Yeah, there you go. I think that let your mind wander. think about unused space right now. There's a lot of unused space. Gas stations are a great example of this unused space we have. And I've been thinking about that. Like, when I walk around, like, what could you do with that now that you couldn't do before? And what's going to make it easier for people as they go through their daily lives? And people don't want to go to stores anymore. People want to do drive-throughs. They want to make it easy. So think about how you create value with an existing something you have, and how you can adapt and modify the distribution and access people have to your product or service. All right. Well, I think the next one is insights with my mother, Noreen Griffin. Is my mom there? Amy?
Yes, I am.
Mom!
Hi.
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Thanks.
You're looking great. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Everybody out there, what I think is important is that my mom is somebody who completely has been a mentor and an influencer in my life. And in many cases, I didn't even know that she was influencing me by just her actions. And so I wanted to bring her on and just have a conversation about what it is. Here's my question for you, Mom.
Mm.
How do you manage somebody, and how do you deal with someone like me if we go back and I'm a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 17-year-old? How do you manage someone who's got an entrepreneurial side, highly creative, very independent? How did you do that? And what would you recommend to anybody out there who's watching who might have a child like me?
Well, to keep you interested in something. If you're not interested in something, you're in trouble, getting in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
So it was always a challenge to find something that would interest you at all times. And a lot of it was artwork, painting, drawing, coloring, building something, that kind of thing. Worked pretty well.
Challenging me?
No, yes. In fact, it did challenge you to do other things, because when you started with one thing, it always led to more ideas that you would have.
Mom, since I have an 18-month-old now, and it took me a number of years for that to materialize. I have a newfound respect for you, and a realization of how. And I'm already 18 months, so it's just I'm wondering. So how do you keep patience? How did you maintain patience through those moments where it's just not a very pleasant moment?
Well, I'm still working on that. It's a difficult thing,
Mm-hmm.
because you want them to do one thing or to stop something, and you have to sort of take control of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, it depends on your personality and how you want to handle a child. You personally had temper tantrums.
What? I still do, Mom.
And I know you now know what those are. And it was difficult. We tried a lot of different things. I couldn't even tell you. And eventually it came down to, do you want time out, or do you want to color a book, read a book, do some artwork, build something to get your mind distracted? Distraction is a wonderful thing.
We have a question, Mom. I have a question. How do you manage an extremely creative team? Any advices for moms of teens?
Well, they're children, and it goes back to, I think, when they're creative, you just provide the opportunity for them to do many things, and teens have an interest in something, and whatever they're interested in, go with it, and they will stay interested.
I mean, I wouldn't want to grow up a teen today, Mom. And so,
No.
and I think that there's a lot with social media. There's a lot of pressure to perform. You know, parents. One of the things I noticed, parents have project what they want their children to become and do in their
Yeah.
lives. It would be natural for me to project Zane as an entrepreneur, of course. Seema and I consciously made a decision to work to not project as best as possible onto
Mhm.
Zane what we might want, and let him do what he wants to do or follow his passion as best as possible. What are your thoughts around this in terms of like a teenager
Well,
doesn't necessarily know what doesn't have enough life experience to be able to make the best decisions, but there's clearly a passion or something that's there that's unique, and how do you continue to support that? And um, even when it's not necessarily what you as a parent might want that child to do. I'll pause there.
well, Dad and I had quite a bit of experience trying to fit a round peg into a square hole. That's you.
You talking about me?
'Cause you know, it didn't work. And because you had your own ideas. And so we let you call it kind of more like follow your own ideas as long as it was, you know, reasonable and we could afford it. Um, and it was safe. Um, and you'll recall you had a lot of ideas that, you know, we went along with. And I just that's how we did. It's
Mhm.
because if you have a creative child, you can't uncreate them. I mean, they don't become uncreative. No matter what you think, you can't do it because it's inside them to be that way.
You know, Mom, I was removed from a number of schools. I used to say 12 by the time I was a sophomore. I know it may
I
not be
think it
that
was true.
many. I know, you know, but it's a large number
It's a large.
from a very small age where I was removed from schools,
Yes.
and that had to be hard on you. And of course, much of that I was clueless as I look back on it. It's like I can sort of remember, but it seemed to be the reason I bring this up is it seemed to be a um, a self-preservation tool of mine as I reflect now. Where if I didn't wasn't in if I was in an environment that wasn't a safe environment for me, or I didn't like the environment, I'd find a way to get removed from that
Good.
environment so that I could be in a different environment, which would be better. And if it wasn't, I'd find a way to get out of that environment and remove from that potentially. Like I'm thinking it's like a safety mechanism I had when I was younger. What, like, I'm sure there's a lot of kids out there that are entrepreneurial, that are creative, who are getting removed from schools, or how did you manage that? And how was that, like, how did you manage that?
Well, it was a learning process. Um, I tried to work with the schools, and it worked pretty well some of the time. And then um, they would decide they could no longer handle you, work with you. So we'd off to the next school. And there was a lot of negotiation with the schools because their idea of where they wanted to put you and where I thought would be a better spot. There was no perfect, good, you know, spot for you.
Hmm.
And so it was a lot of it was a lot of
Still might be true. Maybe it's this internet channel we have here.
yeah. Uh, and so, and you spent a lot of
Thank you.
time getting kicked out of school and coming home, and you were never, you know, upset about it. It was, it made you feel better to get away, I guess. And so for me, it was working with the schools and trying to keep you out of um, other places. And
Like jail, Mom? You could just say it.
juvenile justice system.
Juvenile justice. Yeah, we don't want to go there.
No, you weren't going to go there.
Oh, I wasn't built for that for sure. Um, you know, first of all, thank you so much for fighting for me. I love you tremendously. And I know that that was something I learned from during that time. So in other words, through just osmosis and your fighting and being with Maria McKeever and other women who were fighting for kids who were like me, that somehow that fight and that advocacy and that determination it got in me, right? Because I was part of that. You dragged me around, right?
I did, because you
And
were in school.
I think that it also influenced me to have this massive appreciation for women and empowering women, because somehow through that I was like around women more and I saw how women behave, and I wasn't really around men in the same way. There has to be some linkage, I think, to that as well, that relates to the We Create centers that we have in Zambia, Vietnam, and Kenya, and then all the work we've done around the world. And so somehow I think there's some linkage to that, Mom.
Very possibly, because all that's true. You did spend a lot of time with me during school hours. And
That's because I got kicked out of school.
that's right. And then we did have a lot of meetings, and we started a group to help people with similar children. And you went to a lot of those meetings because, one more time, you were with me during, school hours. And so it benefited me greatly also, Sean, because it made me a stronger person. Nobody was going to trample on my son. I don't care what they said. And so it made me stronger in that way. And I learned to negotiate very fast, because you really don't get much of a second chance sometimes with schools. And it benefited me in my career. I mean, I'm an expert negotiator, I'm here to tell you. And I wouldn't be that if it weren't for you.
So what you're saying, Mom, is if you want to be a really phenomenal negotiator, raise a creative child who gets kicked out of schools, and then you'll be able to like negotiate better.
I think so.
You heard it here first, everybody. I'm really glad that some positive came out for you, because I can only imagine how much stress and
It was stressful.
difficulty that must have been.
But looking back, it wasn't that bad. It could have been a lot worse. Trust me. There were kids out there that it was a lot worse. So I think it came out the way it was supposed to.
Well, so one of the ways that you have been really instrumental in my life is through, and I've got sketchbooks, Mom, that go back to when I was like 9 and 10 years old. And guess what? Inside those sketchbooks, affirmations. Affirmations are in those sketchbooks. My signature looks the same as well, but there are affirmations in there, and I'm 9 years old. That had to come from you.
Yeah, I had them posted all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Talk to us about affirmations and the power of affirmations.
Well, they are powerful because all of us have a lot going on in our heads. And sometimes we get locked in there that we can't do something, and or don't want to, whatever. And if you have an affirmation, is just words that say what you want it to be, and put them on a sticky note, stick them on your mirror, stick them on your phone, stick them on your computers, stick them on the refrigerator door, everywhere. And then you read them, and you can visualize what it is that you desire to happen to be. And over time, your mind changes to say, I'm brave enough to take on this challenge.
Mm-hmm.
The fear starts diminishing. And the thing of it is, our brains are kind of lazy. They like us in our comfort zone because the brain doesn't have to work very hard.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of gets up and goes la, la, la all day because you're in your comfort zone. So they fight you to keep you there. And that's what's all that stuff going on in your head is trying to work to keep you where it's easy for your brain. They don't want to think. I mean, they're lazy.
But it's a way to reprogram your brain. Like you can change your behavior through affirmations
Absolutely.
and achieve and create things in your life by through the process of believing. It's not just saying it. You have to believe
Right.
it, right? It's an emotional
Yes.
thing that
Yes.
connects and you feel it that it's real. Talk to us about that.
Well, it started with a gentleman named Napoleon Hill back in the 1920s. He
Mhm.
wrote a book, Think and Grow Rich, which of course became, a popular book. And in there, he says, if you can think it and if you can see it, you can attain it. And he was the first one to really put um, together how this works. It will change your mind to believe that you can do something and or that it'll be easy, like money flows to me easily and effortlessly. It
Give us
doesn't,
give us a money affirmation, Mom. That's a good one. Got another one?
yeah, financial well-being is my new reality. Money flows to me easily,
Mm.
and each person can write their own, and it has some specific guidelines. Needs to be brief, very specific, in the present tense. So now you don't base it in the past, and it has to be positive. So you wouldn't make something that says, I am not going to whatever. You would say, I am doing whatever. So it has to be positive movement, not negative.
So it's proactive. I am going to do this. I am doing this. This is happening. So
Yeah.
it's projecting. It's kind of a reality distortion technique as well.
No, it's not distortion.
Sure, you're changing the reality to what you want it to be.
Well, if you want to call it a distortion, I wouldn't call it that. But it's just,
It has a little bit. It has a little bit. I mean, reality distortion is also getting people to do things that they normally wouldn't do, and that we'll have a conversation about reality distortion as an exercise later. But affirmations touch on it a little bit. The affirmation is such that do you like to get into a quiet space when you say the affirmation or on the fly? Because you literally do post these affirmations all over the house, so they're everywhere. I remember.
no, it can be anywhere. I mean, probably to meditate on it is a good idea, or to, quietly think about it. But for me, I was a busy person, two children and working, and there wasn't a lot of time to sit around. And so they were in my car, they were on the sun visor, they were on the dash, they were everywhere,
Yeah.
literally.
You were literally on your sun visor. I recall this now. So the create your and we've got a few affirmations we're going to share that you put together, Mom. So and this is great because I think some people we've had a lot of requests actually for the money affirmations, Mom.
Yes.
This one's for you, V Dub. And so now, what if my affirmation? Let's say my affirmation is like these folks. I was just talking to Ha from Vietnam. Were you watching that?
Yes.
What affirmation would you give her? She's in a really interesting situation. What kind of affirmation would you give Ha?
So, from what I understand, she started a company to make the test for COVID-19.
They have kits, and the business is in developing kits to test for viruses. Yes, it
Okay.
just happens that COVID-19 came along.
Okay. Well, what would be good for her is to say that what she needs is orders.
Yes.
So that orders are coming to her easily and effortlessly on a daily basis.
And the material, because she has a challenge getting a hold of that material. The special material that is the secret ingredient as well is something else to include in that affirmation. Can you redo that affirmation to
Well,
include that really rare material?
well, they're brief. So
Yeah.
that would be a second one, maybe.
Ah, okay, great.
Yeah. So the same thing.
Give it to
That,
me again. Second one. What does it look like?
so I'll just call it material. Um, the material necessary to make her product. This is going to be too long, I think. Product is easily purchased and available to her
Whenever she wants it.
now. You can say,
Now. That's beautiful. So anything, you can make an affirmation for literally for anything.
yeah. as long as it's positive.
That is so beautiful.
You wouldn't make an affirmation that it's too difficult to get the material that I need to do my kits, um, and so and so. That wouldn't work. It's got to just be positive from the start.
Well,
Like
this
it,
is
like,
an
like
interesting question, Mother.
Hmm?
If your mind is like, this is hard, this is not going to work, we're never going to get this material, is that a reverse affirmation you're telling yourself? And that is actually working against you? Because it's like an affirmation if you're actually saying it won't
You
work.
believe it. You believe it. Yes, it is. So you have to replace. That's why I'm saying your brain is lazy. It wants you to stay where you are because it's easy for the brain. It doesn't have to get up early and work and think. Brains are like that, and they feed you all the ways that you can't do things or you don't want to do them. Want you to think you don't want to do it, and so that's what you're trying to alter, is to get to the point of what you do want and get your brain to recognize, I'm going to have to go to work and make this happen.
The brain is lazy and follows a certain track that's the easiest and least resistant. And so, why people, it's rare for people to overcome and even follow through with affirmations, because it takes effort and work, and the brain, you got to retrain your brain.
Yeah, the brain doesn't want you to do that.
Mm-hmm. Brain plays.
And everyone listening notices all that goes on in your head, that how hard it's going to be. You can't do it. You're not going to find that. It's not a good idea. All kinds of, stuff.
Exercise your brain, everybody. Yeah. Okay. So, and one of the most effective ways to do that, that's my terrible brain. Looks more like a bubble gum.
Kind of looks like it.
Yeah, well, it sort of has that. My hands. It's. You don't have to draw perfectly, but you can see what that is, everybody. And what that means is one of the most effective ways to exercise your brain's affirmation. Reprograms the brain. When you say you can't, when you say it won't work, or that'll never happen, you actually are programming your brain to make that real and make that a reality. Shift it. Make it about, it will happen. I'm going to do this. It's going to take place. And one of the ways to do that, as we've heard today, exercise your brain, affirmations. It's beautiful, Mom.
Thank you.
Well, what's your plans for the rest of today? Since it's Mother's Day, what's Dad doing for you?
Well, we are still confined here in California till the end of May. So we're at home, and Dad's going to cook me a special dinner. And I think we're going to bake some bread.
Great.
Yeah. So that's kind of what you have to do. We had a little outing yesterday, and which.
Well, you're looking great, Mom. And just so everybody knows, my mother, it looks like, was one of the early victims of the COVID-19 and was isolated in a hospital, and really there was touch and go. And so just to see you here is wonderful, Mom. I love you very much. And
I love you too, babe.
Thanks for being here. And we'll see you next Sunday on Insights with Sean's mom.
All right. Have an awesome day.
You too, Mom. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
That is fantastic. Just take a risk. Go out there, do something that you wouldn't do normally. This show, 31 Days to PADITU, is such a prime example of this. Like, I had no idea I'd be doing a daily show for 31 days in May 3 weeks ago. It just wasn't even a part of the reality. And these kind of interactions take place where Insights with Sean's mom comes on. You too can create and share and inspire people. And the power of affirmations. I hope you use those affirmations. Everybody, come up with your own affirmations. Focus on what it is you want to achieve and where you want to go. You can do anything if you believe strong enough and are willing to work hard enough. Those are the two key ingredients. All right, here we go. Day 10. Check. I'll see you here tomorrow. Same PADITU time, same PADITU place. Thank you so much, everybody. Happy Mother's Day to all those beautiful mothers out there.
You got to never ever give up. Keep it up, keep it up. Never ever give up. Keep it up, keep it up. Never ever give up. Keep it up, keep it up. Never ever give up. Keep it up, keep it up. Griffin walks for life.
Believe in yourself and you'll go far.